You're listening to the Bear in Mind podcast, episode number 89.
A podcast uncovering identity, color, and love, where driving yourself crazy is totally sane and curable. Now your host, T. Vias.
I'm going to take a break from anger and talk about self-confidence. And that's kind of a 180, but I think it's always kind of good to take a break from talking about a subject like anger. It can be a little bit of heaviness attached to it. So I'm going to come back to a topic I touched on in episode number 75. I talk about the self-confidence trap, and that's more or less like, where do we get self-confidence? Is it coming after we do something, or is it something that we need before we take action, or is it after the action? So it's kind of like the chicken and egg question. And so today I'm specifically going to be talking about whether or not you are born with self-confidence. And this episode was inspired by partly my belief is that I thought people were born with self-confidence. I had this belief for a really long time. And then I also saw something on social media, and I've seen a lot of stuff written like this on social media where people say you're born with it. So again, it reinforced that idea that we're born with it. And then through socializing, messaging, we lose it, because then the way people treat us and our upbringing, we kind of lose our self-confidence along the way. And so these are it still perpetuates the idea that we're born with self-confidence. And if you kind of think about it, being born with self-confidence almost seems like it is like, hey, I was born with it. And it gives us kind of this equal footing. If everyone's born with it, then everyone has this equal amount of self-confidence. And then it's just a matter of, okay, maybe something happened along the way, but it's inside of us somewhere. And it may seem like that's a really lovely way to look at it, that we're born with self-confidence. But I want to offer you that it actually feels quite defeating to think that we are actually born with self-confidence. Because if you're going about living your adult life, like I am, I realize that I don't have a lot of self-confidence. I'm working at building it up. When I started, I didn't have a lot of it. And there was this kind of idea that, oh, wait a minute, I had it and now I've lost it. And that the reason why I have lost it, I've become an adult that doesn't have a lot of self-confidence, is because of the way I was brought up, is because of the messaging. And when I really thought about that idea, that I was born with it and now here I am without it, is that I felt powerless. Because if you have it right now and you believe in the idea that you're born with it, great. You can continue to live life and continue with your self-confidence. But if you listen to the ideas of you're born with it and now you're like, well, where is it in adulthood? You're kind of like, well, okay, it's all because of something outside of us that we lost it. And that really had a heavy impact on me. It didn't give me any sort of ownership into then maybe going about and building my self-confidence. It's like, oh, I lost it because of all of this messaging. I lost it because of my upbringing. And well, might as well give up right this minute. So I think that saying that you're born with self-confidence is a lose-lose situation. It is also not based on any sort of facts that we've established about the brain thus far. So if we're born with self-confidence and children actually look self-confident, it almost seems like, well, that's a very logical conclusion you can draw. We're born with it. You see kids, they seem to have no fear and they go after it. When it's not that they have this emotion that perpetuates kind of this going after anything that they want to achieve, or, going after something without fear. It's not the presence of emotion, rather it's the lack. Kids, and if you think about it, let's think of a baby. When they're born, they don't have the doubt that would prevent them from pursuing a goal. So the first goal of a baby is to get to know its body. And then the first kind of visible goal that we see, that their parents see, is that they learn to walk. And in between the stages of being born until the first year, when they're trying to learn how to walk, is a lot of times they fall down a lot. And they fall down a lot. They fail a lot, more times than you can count. And so if doubt were present in a baby, I think right around the 10th time, the 15th time they fall down, when they're trying to bring themselves up to even start to take the first step, they'd be like, oh, this is kind of not working, right? Because a lot of us don't even make it to the 15th try. We usually give up after the first attempt, and babies don't. They continue, and then babies learn how to walk. And that's because they don't have doubt. They don't have language, so they can't think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. Oh, they don't make the failure mean anything. Oh, I fell down. Oh, I'm probably not going to walk. So that is why babies and children up to a certain age, before they develop full cognitive skills, look like they have no fear. They jump in the water. They run full blast onto traffic. They have nothing in their head because they don't know language, and they also don't have the cognitive ability because their brain is still on track to develop, preventing them from going after the thing they want. That's why toddlers are so good at getting what they want. So kids don't experience doubt the same way that adults do. And then all of a sudden, doubt does become a part of their life when cognitive skills are developed, when they start to understand messages and languages that come into their environment. They start to feel that doubt where that emotion wasn't really present before that. And with that doubt that's kind of becoming part of their life, there is also kind of this opportunity for self-confidence to become part of our lives. Because if you look at it, the baby had no doubt. Learned to walk, learned to run. Doubt creeps in, but then there's also a chance for self-confidence to creep in, to be built, and to develop. And the reason why those two go hand in hand is that there's always kind of this negative and positive, and that's why I love talking about anger. A negative emotion is that through negative emotion, you arrive at positive emotion. So there's always kind of this, yin and yang to emotions. And if you look at, there's doubt, but then through that doubt, then that becomes self-confidence. And so that doubt serves a purpose because we're given these cognitive skills that other mammals don't have. We can override this doubt and then birth the self-confidence at a later stage when our cognitive skills are developed, and then as our brain continues to develop emotionally. And our brains will continue to develop, and we can change it at a later stage. But up until about 25 years, we are developing our emotions. So there is so much opportunity after our cognitive skills are developed, which is around between 10 to 11 years old, up until 25 years for us to practice with that emotion of doubt and then to build that emotion of self-confidence. And that to me is so much more of a powerful message than you're born with self-confidence and then we lose it, rather than doubt becomes a part of our life and then we learn to overcome it and we learn to create self-confidence in ourselves to move through that doubt, because we need to continuously learn how to move through it, because the same challenges that we had when we're 18 years old, when we're 25 years old, are not going to be the same when you're 35, 45, 60, or whatever age you are. And that becomes so much more of a powerful message for me, knowing that there's doubt, it's a part of life, and there are just so many opportunities in our lifetime, no matter what age we are, to become self-confident, to create it, to build it, to strengthen it. And it has actually nothing to do with how much you started out with, because we're not born with it. All it is about the self-confidence you need to overcome whatever challenge you have right now. And then once you overcome that, once you've built that self-confidence, guess what? You're going to want that next challenge, and you're going to need a next level of self-confidence. So it isn't like you're born with this kind of, I want to say, equal amount in each of us. It's that we're there to develop it along the way as doubt comes into our lives. And then with each challenge, we need to develop a new level of self-confidence. And this is something that you can actually sink your teeth into, do something about it. If you feel like you have low self-confidence right now, you can strengthen that. And the only way to strengthen your self-confidence is to do something new, is to do something that challenges yourself. And if you're totally content with where you are, but if there's something that you want and it feels out of reach, all of a sudden, you notice the doubt comes in. And that's a great opportunity alongside that doubt to create that opposite of that doubt to help you override it is that self-confidence. And that is so much more hopeful. It's a situation that isn't lose-lose. And no, you're not born with self-confidence. And guess what? That's the best news ever because you can go out there and create it. That's all I have for you this week. I'll check back with you next.
Thanks for listening. Listen for a new episode next Tuesday by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Bye for now.